and welcome back to the Secret Society of Superfans. We are here to talk about this week's episode of Survivor 47, part one of the finale. I am Sarah Talks, and with me today is Ghostbuster Sammy. Well, now I've seen that your handles have changed. So, like, are we changing names? What's going on, Sammy?
Oh, like on TikTok, how it turned into
Yeah.
like Reality Watcher. Well, it's still, Ghostbuster Sammy when you add it. But I followed everyone's lead to do like some kind of reality show thing. And also part of that too is because I first got like popular on TikTok because of a beef I had with like a TikTok witch. It's like a whole thing. So people
I feel
still
like we
see
need a whole segment on that. I'm definitely
no,
going to need more info there.
it is actually a wild ride. Like Ice was involved, there was a cult involved. It was a whole thing. I never told you the story before.
No, just like you didn't tell me you had a fucking JonBenet Ramsey podcast. Like, who the hell are you? We need an episode to deep dive onto the history and the saga that is Ghostbuster Sammy.
My lore.
Yes, your lore.
Yeah, so I added Reality Watcher to my profile to differentiate myself from like how I first got popular on TikTok.
Got it. Got
Yeah,
it. Love it. So this particular episode, Bob and we were just actually
stupid
talking before.
name.
It's so dumb.
Stupid
So
name.
let's, you know what? When we post this, let's rename the episode "Attending Your Own Funeral" because that's
Absolutely.
the more fitting title. What it should have been.
Absolutely.
That doesn't include any spoilers either. That
Well, I
should
was
have been the name.
I mean, I guess it does imply spoilers since the audience knows that Rachel has an immunity idol. So maybe it does kind of hint that an idol was used, but honestly, I don't even care. I still think they should have not. Bob and Weave is ridiculous. One of the
That's
most
a weird name.
iconic episodes of reality TV I've ever seen called Bob and Weave.
Yeah. Bob and Weave opens up with the fallout from Operation Italy. Now, we didn't have an episode here last week. Abigail and I were on the Survivor Now podcast where we talked about it. But can you go ahead and like recap Operation Italy and the perfection that it was?
I would love to because it's been my special interest now since it happened. I'm not sure what Survivor calls it, but is it called a prize comp or is it like a luxury comp?
Oh, it a rewards comp, yes.
Rewards comp. So they did a rewards comp and Sam won. And to my surprise, he took Genevieve and Andy, which we know how it works out, but when he first did it, I was sitting there with my bag of chips being like, "Idiot. You
So
can't
was
trust
Teeny, but
Andy."
without the bag of
You
chips.
know what I mean? Like, what that was dumb, and but these reward challenges I'm learning as a new Survivor person are so vital to this game apparently because they start talking shop and they're trying to sell Andy and Andy's like, you don't have to sell me. I have a 10-point plan. Like the math is there. And yeah, they essentially concoct Operation Italy based on the fact that they were eating Italian food. And it goes like this. So there's the three of them, and they are grossly outnumbered by the remaining four on the other side, which is Caroline, Sue, Rachel, and who am I missing? Teeny. Um,
Mhm.
and the only way to keep all three of them, Andy, Sam, and Genevieve, in this game was to convince the other side to split their votes on this idea that Genevieve has an idol, which of course we know is not real. And they put together that cute little idol. It looks so good.
Have
But
you
I gotta
seen
be
that? So you haven't seen the fake idols are not a new thing.
no, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I
this
just
one was
thought it
really
was
good, I think.
cute. It was just looked really good for
I
for
love
such
a fake
a
idol.
to get together and like be able to discuss this plan and put it into motion immediately was really interesting to watch. But I'm also sitting there as a viewer being like, this is cute, but how on earth will that ever work?
Yes.
And they come back to camp and Andy's blowing smoke up everyone's asses and they are listening to every word that he said, even though they were talking about how they shouldn't really trust him while he was on this reward. It should have never worked, Sarah. It should have never worked, but it did.
I honestly, and we see that in this episode too, where I think because of Operation Italy, it had so many like subsequent effects too. But I had in learning Survivor, and I still struggle with it to this day. When I hear plans like this, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense because I always forget the piece of when you're playing an idol, you play it post votes. Whereas like on
Yeah.
Big Brother, when you have a veto, it's up front. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And they have had like secret immunity advantages hidden in the Big Brother rarely. I think like twice, but
Yeah.
they've done stuff like that. But even then, pre-vote or you're just unable to vote for that person. So the fact that you have to go into tribal and play your votes, that part of the piece, like thinking through, okay, well, getting them to split the votes is what gives this group the majority. We talked about this on the Survivor Now podcast a bit. I don't know, and it's something that I really would like to hear from everyone and you. Do we think obviously this plan was incredible, it worked beautifully for Genevieve and Sam. But do we think that this plan benefited Andy at all? Because he wasn't on the outside, he was with the other side. He was in the majority, he had the numbers. So, looking and knowing what we know now, because anyone listening to this has obviously already watched the episode, would Andy have at least made it further than Sam? Would, Sam and Genevieve been out before they went after Andy?
Well, so firstly, I think he really understood that he was at the bottom of that alliance and that if they had gotten rid of Sam or Genevieve, he understood the numbers were never going to be in his favor and he'll never have like actual power at tribal if he had stuck with that alliance. But also too, this I actually don't think was the downfall of Andy's game, and we'll get into this
No.
more, I guess, later. But I think I think he could have outlasted Sam if he didn't do a lot of things. um,
Yes, Andy's given us lots to discuss in this episode. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, truly,
I think it's interesting when I think about Andy and this move. The only benefit I could see from this, because because it seemingly the side effect is like, oh, Andy flipped again. Andy did this again. He's becoming a bigger problem than these two problems that we have in front of us. Also,
yeah,
he's not going to win a challenge. No offense, like in the Castaways mind, like he's not going to win a challenge, so he's easy pickings. Um, so we could just go after him whenever. But then on top of that, I feel like his only real benefit to this was to have a resume move because they
yeah,
did see him as someone being carried and he could get to the end and pitch the idea that Operation Italy was my idea.
yeah.
Um,
It is an impressive like resume booster, honestly. It's a plan that was so intricate and relied on every piece fitting perfectly when it should not have fit perfectly. I don't understand why they didn't just pretend like they were gonna vote Genevieve and just put all their votes on Sam. He just fully convinced them that they had to vote Genevieve out. I think they could have just voted out Sam and still gotten her idol out. You know what I mean? Like if they're thinking she actually does have an idol, just make her think
mhm.
you're voting her out.
But I think that the fear there's with splitting the votes, and I'm probably wrong. I was told on the interwebs today that I have the worst takes on Survivor that anyone's ever heard.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did the user
Um,
have a profile picture or is it like user 3972165?
Something along those lines,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course, of course.
But so I could be like, my thought here is that if Genevieve gets wind that all of the votes are on Sam, then she plays her idol for Sam and they're both safe.
Mm,
That is the key, that if you by splitting the votes, no matter how she plays it, someone goes home.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So
I
that
just
is
don't know
the
why they believed Andy, like, of all people, you know, like, they spent, like, the entire time they were on their reward completely just shit talking this dude and Sam. It just, like, I just couldn't believe he was able to come back and do this with such, like, ease.
yeah.
But it's the Andy
Um
Riz. I don't care what anyone says, Andy has Riz,
he does,
alright?
and he's charming. He does come off like he comes off as safe. He's
Yeah,
non-threatening.
yeah,
Um and I do adore that about him. I want to protect Andy. I want
yeah,
to, like, and I'm
yeah,
on the outside. So I see that. But then I feel like the idea was great. The execution even better because the parts that everyone played, down to faking that, oh, like Andy's coming. We got, so the glance of the idol getting shoved back in the pocket.
yeah.
It was all just it played out beautifully. Um,
It really could not have gone better at all.
yeah. And then, it worked. And Caroline's out, and we start this episode off with the fallout from there. And of course, Sue is pissed. And Sue needs a new enemy because Kyle is gone.
Yeah.
And now her sights are set on Andy. And Andy betrayed us all. Fuck that guy.
I mean, honestly, that's how I would have felt about it too. Like, whenever I'm watching shows like this, I try to put myself in the mindset of like the tribe or in Big Brother, like the whole house, you know? And
Hmm.
like, if I were the four that was sitting on the other side of that boat, I too would have been like, Andy's got to go. Cause it's like, no, it's like stick with the enemy, you know, like Sam
Yeah.
and Genevieve, they're just surviving week by week, but Andy's so unpredictable that, and you can no longer use him as a vote because you can't trust that he'll vote your way. It's like he has to go.
Yeah. I said that from the beginning though. I was like, Andy, just after like I think the second or the third flip, I was like, yeah, votes are gonna get to the where like his vote's gonna weigh a whole lot more. You gotta let the loose ends go. You gotta let
Yes. Yeah,
um
absolutely.
no, you're just giving him more value each and every week. Um
Absolutely.
So this explanation, I tried to type it out to where I can kind of explain it the way Sam did, but I can't. But Sam is trying to smooth things over. Teeny's panicking, but she's doing that passive aggressive panicking where she's like being hardy hard friend, with the guy that she just spent the entire last episode talking shit about because he didn't take her on reward. But she's like, dude, what was that? Oh my gosh, that was amazing. And then he is playing it off like it was an accident.
But the thing is, I feel like Teeny actually believed that.
She did. She said it in her
Right.
confessional.
Okay, but also the best part about that was Rachel hiding like in the bushes because had Rachel not done that, she would have like been missing so much vital information. In
Yes.
that moment, she knew she couldn't trust Teeny anymore, which is why I think everything went down so perfectly for Rachel.
Hmm.
Um, and watching her hide in those bushes was just legendary. What a
Crawling in the
wow.
sand on her stomach
Yeah.
and like
And like
listening and
hearing the
that.
most important conversation she could have literally possibly stumbled upon. She knows how
Absolutely. So,
everyone thinks, where everyone's aligned, what their intentions are with her, like everything.
well, it was in this conversation, and Teeny tells us in a confessional that she's flipped, that she
Yeah.
was with the other side. She did work with Rachel, but she has recognized that after Operation Italy, she needs to jump ship and she wants to team up with Genevieve, Sam, and Andy. Well, she didn't say Andy. She
Yeah.
said Genevieve and Sam. Um, I don't love this move for Teeny.
No.
I've been worried about Teeny for a few weeks, and we get a glimpse, like just a fast forward to I think the second tribal council, where Sam says, like, I told Teeny because that would ensure the whole island would know. And that plays into what Kyle has told us in his exit interviews that, you know, Teeny is a leak and Teeny doesn't, it kind of is playing a
Like
big
flip
brother
flopper.
Andy game,
Yes.
even. Yeah.
Like a floater.
I would never label Teeny as a floater. Definitely not floating. Definitely playing the game. Always on the wrong side of the vote. Maybe Teeny would stay or like be on the right side of the vote if Teeny would stay on a side. It
Well,
feels
yeah,
like Teeny.
like, but that's what I mean is I feel like whomever is in power or makes that power move, I think in her head she's like, I don't want to be left out again, so I'm gonna go to like my perceived power in like
Yeah.
and I didn't love it. I was really shocked that she flipped like that because like if she had stayed with Genevieve and Sue,
Oh, kitty
well,
cat appearance.
yeah, um, they would have had basically control of the vote regardless. And she just is really good at choosing the wrong side of the vote. It's like a specialty. It really
Really
is.
is the talent.
And
Teeny gets to
honestly,
the
like,
end, and that's they're on their resume. Like, hey, guys, everyone on the jury, almost. I had nothing to do with you getting out.
yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, I think during the fire making challenge, Teeny could create fire with magic, and I still think that she wouldn't win Survivor 47. I really don't.
um,
I think they'd be like,
sorry,
"Wow."
Allie. No, we love Teeny. Love, love, love Teeny.
Yeah, I love Teeny. I loved watching Teeny. I enjoy them, but the chances of Teeny winning this, I mean,
Mhm.
they gotta be next to nothing.
Um, now, then we get to a scene where I don't know why they left this in unless they were just trying to show us without talking about it. But we see Sue get up early and put, her boots on and almost fall. Couldn't really stand up straight, almost, intoxicated. So I don't know if they left this in to kind of show us that the island is wearing, but like I think they're only there like 2 more days at this point. So
Yeah.
like she's gonna be fine. She's just fine. So I don't know why I felt like they kind of lingered on these shots a little bit long, but Sue goes out looking for an idol. Now Sue still has an idol. We know this. We know that Sue has an idol. We know that Rachel has an idol, and they think that Genevieve has an idol. At this point,
Yes.
no. Yes, they still.
Uh,
Yes,
yeah, I think
yes,
so.
because the
Yeah, because
Operation
that's
Idol. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just so much talk about Genevieve's idol in this episode. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it
um
really is.
so Sue goes out and like starts digging again, I guess like looking for new contour for her makeup, but at the same time like looking for an idol. And I don't know what compelled Rachel. Like Rachel just felt terrible for her at this point. And Rachel's
Yeah.
like, Sue, babe, get out of the dirt. Like you could stop digging. Oh shit, there goes. Sorry, AirPod fell out.
Mhm.
Um, there we go. So she's like, hey, get up. And you can just see her like picking her up, like she's picking up her grandma like after a fall, a bad fall,
Yeah.
and telling her like I have an idol. And Sue just starts crying. Um and like thanking her. We've seen this kind of information go a long way with Sue
Yeah.
previously. Caroline's the only person that knew that Sue. She's the only person that Sue told that she had an idol. But Rachel tells her about her idol, and this kind of like bonds them in a weird way. But when I say like this whole episode, it was kind of I know it's part one of a two-part finale, but it's kind of like a two-parter in that we had two tribals. But throughout the whole thing, it is all idol hunts. Like later in the episode, we're gonna see like a idol hunt between Rachel and Genevieve, like
Yeah.
fighting. It was very very idol heavy. My question, and I don't know, coming with you being a new survivor, me being a new aged Survivor watcher. I've seen some old seasons. I did get into Survivor in the new age. I feel like this is very late in the game for idols. I
I
feel like
mean,
they should have
yeah.
expired by now, or we should be past that, right?
I mean, that's what I assumed too. I also assumed there could only be 2 idols at a time, um, which is when Rachel told Sue about her idol, I was like, Sue, doesn't that mean that you know where both idols are? So we know that Genevieve doesn't have it. I don't know if I made that up in my brain, like that there's only two idols ever playable at a
Well, because
time.
everyone forgot about the pizza idol, the famous Survivor under your pizza slice idol.
Oh,
And
right. Yeah. I see
so
what you mean.
I don't know. I don't know if there's like a set number or anything, but I just feel like this close to finale with this few people having two
Yeah.
idols even available for play. I've typically seen them used or flushed before they like hit their expiring date, but I don't know what that expiration is. Is it four? I thought it was final six.
Apparently not, because Sue was able to use hers, so
Yeah, so I thought they were
it
fine
went
at
to the
final.
end, I
Like
guess.
when I think back to the clips, but this is probably a great question for like Teg or Abigail. But yeah, it's just something, especially with like how relevant it was in this episode.
Yeah, but might as
But
well
then
look. I mean, what else you got going on? Like, can't hurt
right,
to look around, I guess.
yeah. Um, you can pull a stall and just find a weird advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know.
So then we get to the immunity challenge. Well, with reward. So it's immunity with reward.
Mhm.
Um, and this is wild because every single season, I am always like bitching and moaning. I'm like, why are we watching the same fucking competition every single time? Why is it
Yeah.
always an obstacle course ending with a puzzle? And this season, they have fed me sufficiently with. I mean, I don't remember the last time we had one of these, but we ended up getting one of these. And guess what? It was exciting for me to watch because I didn't just see it 50 times for like the
Yep.
last, few
I
weeks.
fully
So
agree. Yeah.
I feel like this was the right time to do
Yeah.
this challenge. And it got really exciting watching it come down between Genevieve and Rachel. And Rachel, man, she's a fucking beast.
Oh my god, I know. And
Beast.
like, I love the respect that Genevieve and Rachel have for each other.
Yes.
Like, even like during that comp, like even though they're doing their own thing and they're not even looking at each other, you can just tell they're like, because Genevieve is smiling like the whole time, and Rachel's kind of doing like the side glance, and it was like, man, this is very interesting, and also kiss a little maybe. I love a good like enemies to lovers, like we both
No, that
want to
was for when they
win.
were looking for idols out in the
I
woods.
know. I was like,
That was the scene. That was the scene.
hello.
We're
Yeah,
making it weird.
yeah,
So,
true, true.
yeah, Teeny was like, I'm out. Like, I'm just gonna watch. Like, which
Useless.
I think Jeff even said something about it. He's just like, you can just watch if you want. Like, you could just watch how this plays out. But Genevieve crushed that, and I feel
Yeah.
like this was Genevieve's first immunity win.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't have come at a better time.
Nope.
I feel like this. I mean, it helped for a minute. But Genevieve also got to pick for the rewards. I have a little qualm with this, and I don't know how you felt about this. Maybe we missed it. I'm assuming Genevieve was looking at Sam like returning the favor. You want me to return this favor? Because he was like, no.
Right.
But I feel like Sam saying like, I'm good, don't pick me. My belly's still full from the last one, kind of gave him the credit of Genevieve picking Stu and Teeny.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And it also like Sam knows we're getting to the end, and I feel like it was also gave him a chance to kind of like network a little bit, like at Tribe, like while they were off on the reward.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that Jeff called it out because he kind of gave her a head shake, like, "No, don't do this." But and Jeff, like,
Right.
"Hey, I see you shaking your head. Why?" Um, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like I wish Genevieve would have been able to make that. Like, I made this choice on my own
Yeah.
instead of Sam told me to do this. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I definitely see
Weird,
what
like
you're
my
saying.
takeaway. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get
Um.
what you're saying.
So Genevieve picks Sue and Teeny. and they go and have steak and baked potato. And what the fuck is up with this AirPod?
I don't
Sorry,
know.
guys.
It's like yeeting itself out of
Here.
your ear.
Yeah, it is.
Like it is
Okay.
like flying
I
out.
don't
It's like
know. Okay. Um, so they have steak, baked potatoes, and wine, which apparently Teeny can't handle.
no, not even at all. You know what though? I'm kind of glad about it because I was really nervous that Sue was going to that reward with them because I was like, she just found out about Rachel's idol. Like, is she gonna
Mm,
like switch side? You know what I mean? Like, there was just
yeah.
like a lot to it that
Sue
like
does
made me
not
really
switch
nervous.
sides.
Yeah, no, not to not entertain that for a second. Thank God, but I was very nervous because everyone seems to go on these rewards and completely change their entire game. So it's like, um, but yeah, Teeny got to yapping.
Yeah. And she's like, so your idol, man. And then Genevieve's like, yeah, as Sue's face, like, the fuck? And
Sue did
Genevieve's
so
like,
good at pretending she didn't know, though.
huh?
Like, Sue, she acted like shocked by this like idol news, of
Yeah.
Genevieve, and it's like that was pretty good on Sue's part to be like, "What? That's crazy."
Do you think that I don't know, maybe they just didn't think it was real or confirmed or didn't know? I don't know. They went with they split their votes. So
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know why all three of them were pretending it was a secret. It clearly
Genevieve's like, this
wasn't.
is great for me.
Yeah, but it clearly like wasn't a secret, and I was very confused by that in like entire interaction. But it's so funny because Genevieve and Sue both had to like fake surprise at it, and meanwhile Teeny, who has no idea what's really going on, is just like drinking and yapping and not even like it's like Teeny.
Teeny's messy. The
Messy,
messy award of
messy.
season 47 goes to Teeny
Teeny,
for sure.
teeny. Let loose a little
Teeny
bit.
is survivor messy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but well, back at camp, we see Andy and Sam and Rachel having a memorial service for
On the
Rachel, and
beach.
they're starting, the procession, but for Rachel's funeral, and thinking back, and look at us, look at
Yeah,
us,
yeah. Reminiscing, writing her
look how
eulogy. I
far we've
mean,
come.
I have to imagine being Rachel in that moment was so satisfying to hear these two dude bros like mansplain to you how they're gonna win Survivor, because they outplay you, and we all did this together, and like to know that at least one of their smugness is gonna come clean off the face is gotta be so satisfying.
But she was able to, like, she pulled tears, and this
I
was like,
know.
give Rachel her flowers, her Oscars, all the awards, because
Yeah, I mean, she sold it.
she had to
Sold
pull those
it.
tears from somewhere. That would be one of my like top interview questions for her, is like, where did you get the tears from? Where did those come from?
I mean, a
By the
part of
way,
it has to be like happy tears, right? Like
oh yeah,
they're having this
yeah.
big moment and she's in there knowing she's safe. Like I bet like there a lot of that comes from being like, oh my God, like I would have been fucked. Like I would have been done right now.
Just a side note, this scene bothers the fuck out of me because of the sand right here in the crooks of everyone's eyes.
Oh my
My
God.
sensory issues cannot handle it.
I have that phobia that's like the fear of holes or whatever. But like I've always called it like the fear of
Trichophobia.
clusters. Yeah. But I've always called it like a fear of clusters because like when like little tiny balls are together like that, it like oh God, that was a nightmare for me. I was like, please, please jump in the
Wipe
ocean real
your
quick.
eyes. Yeah, I
Please.
mean, I know how we all know how Allie feels about the feet shots,
Yeah.
but like, and the sand in the mouth. I can't do the sand in the mouth.
Yeah.
And so I hate sand. By the way, like for y'all, if
Same.
y'all know, yeah, I hate the beach. I
Yeah.
despise the beach. There's nothing pleasurable or relaxing about sand in your ass crack, between your toes, and on everything you touch. Forget having a cold drink at the beach because the condensation just gives you sand mittens. I can't handle it.
Mhm.
So to watch it like all up in their eye crevices was really distracting. So I caught myself like hyper focusing on it when I was watching the scene today when I did during my rewatch and had to go back. I was
Yeah.
like, "Wait, no, go back. I need to listen to what they were saying." 'Cause it was sensory overload for me, which many things on Survivor are, especially when they do those close-up shots. But hey, the
Yeah, big time.
cinematography of it all. Um, so yeah, they all get back. The reward, they have come back, and we're still having Rachel's funeral to the point where Andy makes the decision to do some jury management.
Look, she said something. She said, she basically implied to him that he was carried to the end, and that was, I thought, a brilliant move by her because I feel like it really got to him. How she basically said, like, this is Sam's game to win, like,
Mhm.
you will not. But the move he does reminds me of serial killers who like who like when the police have like the wrong suspect, they get all like upset because like that person's getting credit for their work,
Yeah.
and so they
I thought
start
you
just
were
like
talking about
spilling
the
their
ones that
guts.
like try to comfort their victims before they kill them,
No, no, I'm talking about the
because that
ones
too.
that can't handle when they're not getting, like, the credit they deserve, and so they start, like, spewing everything, like, start writing all these, like, cryptic fucking messages to police and, like, going that is the energy Andy was giving me. It felt very much like, "Oh, you don't think I can do this? Like, here's
He was
everything
giving
I've
the
ever
villain
done."
monologue.
Oh, yeah, he really set up this moment to be like, "No, like, here's everything," and oh my god, and this is, like, the 3rd time in the episode that Rachel just has to sit there and people are just telling everything,
Yeah,
everything.
as disarming as he is, she's got some kind of truth serum in her aura for sure.
Well, I
Um,
think everyone just really respected her, and no one had any idea she had an idol, obviously,
she
and
was going home. If
yeah,
Saul hadn't given her that advantage, it was she's had a funeral before. This is wild to me.
yeah,
Um, and I love this so much for her.
me too.
Survivor's a different game that I had to get in a different headspace for because in Big Brother, if somebody had been in this position, it would be a detriment to their game and their resume to me. That
Yeah,
would me speak very poorly of their game. But in
yeah,
Survivor, it is equal. You don't have time to build those deep relationships. You have to build
yep,
some, but it's a lot of pivoting. You don't have time to be loyal to one singular person throughout the whole island. That's too risky of a game.
yeah,
You have
for
to do
sure,
equal parts winning and equal parts like maneuvering and doing what
for
Andy's
sure.
doing and flipping different sides because you
Yeah,
can't invest in long-term relationships. It's a different approach altogether. I do not think a good Big Brother player would automatically be good at Survivor, just like I think a
no
Survivor player
way.
honestly would probably maybe not that great at Big Brother. Suri did really well. There is an argument to be made. Like Suri is an icon, a fucking
Of
icon.
course, yeah.
Um, but there's an argument to be made that the advantages of Jared being there and that relationship that she had was pre-established, that she was able to play both sides of the house. The argument on the other end of that is that you can establish your person on the other end of the house, and we've seen that time and time
Of
again. But
course,
that's neither
yeah.
here nor there. But I feel like they are two different games in that sense, where like Felicia took it very personal that Suri would make a move against her. Where
Right.
Suri's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is the game, you know? And,
Yeah.
and so there's two mentalities with that.
Yeah, for
So I
sure.
feel like Rachel's excelled in that. I feel like Andy does the most, too much at times. But I feel like this story arc of Andy has been really impressive for me. And I said this and I
Oh,
stand by this
agreed.
because we
100%.
recorded last week leading up to last week's episode or this episode. Um so I didn't know what was going to happen this episode, but at that time, and I still stand by it, the way Andy started with the imposter syndrome of it all, and then kind of not just navigated, like found his groove and his footing on the island and with the other castaways.
Yep,
I feel like the bouncing back and forth and recognizing where the power was when he cannot win power himself, um, has been incredible to watch. And I do credit
absolutely.
him with Operation Italy.
And I honestly and, like, I don't know, I'm new to Survivor, so maybe this is a crazy take, but I honestly think that if he didn't spill his guts out to Rachel, he'd still be there and a contender to win. Because they might not be able to see they might see him and deduce his game to, like, just a flip-flopper, but
Mhm.
Andy had a lot of math and justification for every single move he made, and I think he was going to be able to articulate that really well. Um, but I think his ego got the best of him, and he wanted that credit. He was like, "No, look at my work, it's genius."
Yes. And because Rachel's like, "Oh shit,
Mhm.
Andy is not baby Andy that we thought he was."
Yep.
Um, maybe it's his time.
I think
Maybe
it
maybe
really
he
clicked
needs
to
to go.
her that he was, like, the ultimate snake in the grass.
Yeah. So we did get to tribal council, and I know I loved
I've
your
watched it,
TikToks
like,
on
so
this.
many times.
Because you have watched it, 17 times. Do you want to walk us through the events of what happened at tribal council?
I would happily, it was incredible. It was honestly incredible. So they all sit down and Jeff's, like, basically asking about, how does everyone feel after, all the big events of last week? And the way all 3 of them, Genevieve, Andy, and Sam are all like, "Oh, yeah, that's crazy. It just kinda happened to be that way. Like, we didn't know, like, Andy decided going to tribal." And Rachel being like, "Okay, why are we doing this?" Like, Andy flipped. It's, like, really painfully
I think she
obvious.
literally said, "I want to call bullshit," right?
Yeah, she said, "Jeff, I wanna call bullshit on this."
Yeah.
And, called them out and basically was like, "Andy flipped." It's like all there is to it. And Jeff is, like, "Andy, what do you say to that?" And Andy's still trying to kinda, like, go in circles about it, He's kinda like, "Well, la, 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 da, da." And Jeff's like, "Well, she said point blank." And he's like, "Oh, did I flip?" "Yeah, I flipped." It's like the massive eye roll from the jury was
Hmm.
palpable. Like, you could hear them rolling their eyes when Andy admitted to flipping yet again, you know?
But do we think flipping? I don't know. Me, if I was a juror on Survivor, I don't see flipping as a negative. I mean, I
Um,
guess maybe if it affected me, but even if it affected me, the gamer in me couldn't like that. That was a move. That
well, you
was a
know
move.
what though? I think it's because we see all of Andy's moves, but not everyone does. So I think people just look at him and think he's like this fumbling, will just like switch sides whenever like chaos player and don't really understand that he has actually like a whole thought process for every move that he makes and that he's actually
That's a
very
good observation.
careful about where his vote is going to be. I think if they didn't perceive Andy the way they do, they wouldn't have like rolled their eyes because I think to them, it's just they think he's just like flipping for chaos and you can't trust a word he says. He just wants to be a snake kind of vibe.
Mm,
Which is why I think he actually would have been a pretty good contender for winner. I don't know, do they get a chance to explain their moves to the jury? Like,
yeah,
do they talk? Yeah,
yeah.
if he had gotten to that point, I really think he could have won. Um, so yeah, the jury was not impressed by that. And then, you could tell Jeff is gonna do the casual like, oh, where's the tribe at? Blah blah blah. But Rachel doesn't even let him. Rachel's like, look, Jeff, we had a funeral for me today. Every person on this council right now, except for Sue, has looked me dead in the face and told me that I was going home. Also, can I just say the jury dramatics during this tribal were like A1 because the way they were all like,
Yes, yes. I needed a little bit more from Saul, but like ever
I
since we got like
know. I
Ever
know.
since we got Daddy Saul, like, showing up at the jury,
Yeah,
I'm just looking for it now. I'm like,
I know, I know. Yeah, and that was the whole thing is incredible, but, they went around and, like, they basically had the funeral part 3, they're talking about how great
mhm.
of a player she is and, like, how much of a threat. This is when Genevieve is, they have that great this is when they have that great exchange that's like they're like she's like Voldemort, like we're like this
Which, by the way,
duo.
rude. It's just rude.
I know, it's
Could
so
you think
rude,
of a
but
more attractive villain
I
or
know, I
arch
know,
nemesis?
I know.
She's
Like
not
that
rude.
it was rude. It
At
really
least
was.
Bellatrix has a nose. You know what I'm saying? But
I
anyway,
know, I know. Maybe it was just like the first like duo she
yeah.
could think of or whatever, but um, basically the whole summary is we all have a lot of respect for Rachel and Rachel's going home. The end. And they do the votes. She blocks Sam's vote, which like I mean, I guess I don't really get why, maybe in case they split the vote. Um, but
I'm
then
sorry, my narrow, spicy brain just thought, like, just had the funniest scene play out in my head, and I can't get it out.
what?
But I don't think I can say it out loud. Okay, again. All right. When Rachel goes to play her idol, she turns to Genevieve and says, "Get better get it up over." I need someone to make like one of those Roblox reenactments.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. Oh my god,
Can't
that's so funny.
I can't unsee it now. Oh, okay, sorry. It just popped in and it was just brewing and I was trying to stifle it and anyway.
I also want to state that at this point in the episode, as the casual viewer, we don't know if Rachel and Sue are voting out Sam or Andy because
Right.
they were always gonna vote out Sam, and then they never like talked. We never got another scene of them talking about it before Tribal, so it was all kind of up in the air too. So that added a nice like layer of suspense to an already very
Mhm.
suspenseful Tribal Council. But essentially, Jeff Probst. If anyone has an idol, now would be the time to play it. The way Sam looks around so serious, he is like he is, and then when she says, "Actually, Jeff," and Teeny's just like, you know, and she's like, "The best part
You
about
nailed Teeny's
attending."
face.
Thank you. The best thing about attending your own funeral is knowing you're gonna wake up the next day. And then she's like, "I like to play it for myself." Oh, so good. The way the jury reacted and seeing Caroline be like, yeah, like
Yes.
she
Yeah.
was stoked. Um, and yeah,
Ugh.
Rachel got all of the votes except for 2 votes for Andy that came from her and Sue.
Mhm.
And I was like kind of surprised. I was hoping they were gonna pivot to Andy because I thought that'd be better for Rachel's game. But I was surprised. I thought they were gonna kinda still go for Sam, because I feel like competitively he's more of a threat.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was
I was
shooketh.
surprised. I was very surprised that they didn't go for Sam. But, after hearing Andy spill his guts
You have
and
to,
Sam
yeah,
and Rachel still wiping the floor with Sam in competitions,
yeah. It was
I
a good
mean,
call. I do think it was a
yeah.
good call.
Oh,
Um,
to have Operation Italy be the episode prior and then to have this happen this episode, like,
we ate
I so good.
so
So
good.
good. And that says a lot because everyone knows, like, I'm on these weight loss injections and I'm not eating anything but Survivor
Yeah,
content. Your girl's eating good.
Mm,
So yeah, we go back to the camp and we are sucked immediately back into Idol. Again, I'm like, I feel like it's too far in the game.
yeah.
I just was
It
over the
has to be
Idol
too
talk of it
yeah,
all.
yeah.
But then we're all like going back and forth on like Genevieve's idol stuff, and it was like a rinse and repeat of what we had earlier in the episode, but they're talking about Genevieve's idol briefly because that's going to set us up for the conversations post immunity challenge. Now we get to the
Yep.
immunity challenge. Fucking hated this challenge. I hated it with the purple passion.
Okay, I hate challenges like that
Balance beams,
too.
stacking this ball. It's just boring to watch, and it can go on forever. It's different for a Big Brother competition that
Yeah.
I'm watching on the live feeds.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
but for this kind of television, like to watch this and like to get we're all starting
And then
over
someone's
again.
falling.
Like,
Yeah, everyone's falling. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I
you
get it.
get
It builds a
start all
night
over
like
production.
it does build a good suspense, especially for that comp specifically. Like
It does
knowing it,
once.
Genevieve, whoever won Genevieve or Rachel, the other one's going home. Is
Mm-hmm.
like kind of how it felt. So that did add like some spiciness. But I agree. Those often just give me more anxiety than anything. Like I'm not having a good time. Like
No.
I'm like riled up in a bad
Yeah.
way.
I mean, again, if it falls, like if Rachel gets to almost the end and it falls, great. Keep that in. But if that happens 3 more times, cut
Yeah.
it out and then
Yeah.
show me the time that you know what I mean? Like we can
Yeah.
learn in interviews after the fact that it actually went on
Yeah.
15 fucking hours or however long it ends up taking. But
Agreed.
like don't make it feel like 15 hours to me.
Yep.
Gotta get
I
there an
agree.
episode. I don't want it to look I don't want production to show me how fucking impossible or hard these challenges are, like to the extent where I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, a little kitty visitor, kitty cameo.
She's actually not very nice.
Like she's
She's
actually a
not.
bitch.
She's actually like not a nice cat. Like she's gonna bite me in a little bit. Oh my god,
Um,
now she's licking her butthole, like just directly. Jesse, that is unclassy. Anyway,
she thinks that this is a different kind of channel.
apparently.
So, after the immunity challenge, Rachel wins immunity and is now secured a
I
spot. Rachel
screamed.
will never be voted off.
I screamed. Because if she didn't win
Um,
it, she was gonna leave. Like it was
yeah,
undoubtable. I mean, like, even though Genevieve is a big threat, obviously, like Rachel, it had to be Rachel. I mean, she had like 9 fucking lives.
yes. So now that leaves the options for leaving as Sam, Genevieve, Teeny,
And Sue,
and Sue,
who has an immunity idol, but nobody knows about it.
who has an immunity idol.
So we
Yes.
knew it was not gonna be Sue.
Correct. So leaving the options for going home, Teeny, Sam, Genevieve. Sam immediately recognizes the danger here and he's like, guess what? We get back to camp and he said, I'm gonna tell Teeny something. Teeny, guess what? Hey, that idol is so fake. Like I helped make it. Like it's Genevieve's idol. Yeah, it's fake, boo. What I don't understand, and it may be something that we hear about after the show or get more details on, is what the strategic decision behind telling Teeny that he and Genevieve made the fake idol to convince Andy to flip to their side. Did you catch that?
You know what? I didn't catch that.
I caught it my second time. When he's explaining it to Teeny, he says, Genevieve and I made the idol, and then on the rewards, we showed it to Andy and convinced him to flip to us.
That is weird, because like, why protect Andy?
Yes, because
That's
he's
weird.
gone.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Maybe setting himself up to be able to take the only thing I could think of is
Oh,
setting
to take
himself up to
credit
take the
for
credit for the Operation
Operation.
Italy.
That is it for sure then. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really
Anyway,
good point.
it
To make it
wasn't
seem like
something I
he was
caught
the
the first night.
mastermind.
Yeah, I didn't catch it the first watch, caught it the second watch, wanted to make sure everybody here caught it too, because it's interesting. Something I'm gonna put a pin in because I want to hear more
Mhm.
about it postseason. Or see if it plays out finale night. But of course Teeny tells everyone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing. They're like, he's fucking lying to you. It's a real idol. They're trying to get us to split our votes again, which is wild to me that Operation Italy is still affecting the game to the point where they're like, we can't split our votes. We can't split our votes. So if Genevieve doesn't have an idol, we have to vote out Sam because, like,
And then
but
she
then
uses the idol on
she could use
Sam.
an idol on Sam. But they're like, it's real. And Teeny's like, I don't think it is. And then they're like, oh, Teeny, Teeny, Teeny. Like, completely being dismissive of Teeny's information here. So it's wild to me because we didn't get to see a whole lot of that talk through in that process before we were back at tribal again.
Well, I think the reason they didn't believe Teeny is because of the conversation that Rachel overheard of Teeny being with Sam and
Oh, good
Genevieve now.
point.
Yeah, so I think it was more of like, of course, you who are now working with Sam and
You're now the
Genevieve
new
are
Andy.
running back to us, telling us like all this weird shit about idols. It was like almost the exact same situation in their eyes. So I definitely get
But
it. And
then
I'm
why did they but that still doesn't explain, okay, but something happened because we
yeah.
get to tribal and they split their votes again.
Did they split their votes?
Yep. It was like 2-3.
Oh, I guess I don't remember. I get, yeah, I guess I don't remember. They split the votes between Genevieve and Sam.
Yeah. Because if Sam, well, I guess the number's numbered. I
Well,
suck
because
at math
yeah, because if
because
Genevieve
if Sam and
uses the
Genevieve were in
idol,
on something, right? And they have that's
yeah.
2 votes there.
Well,
But
because I think it's one of
no.
those things too. If they had all voted for Genevieve and Genevieve used an idol, she'd be staying. If they all voted for Sam and Genevieve used the idol on him, they would both be staying. So they must have split the vote. Like I don't think they must not have like fully trusted that the idol was fake, which I honestly don't blame them because of how like shady that entire situation was. Um, but I was completely unsurprised by the second tribal council. I figured Genevieve was going to go home one way or the other because I knew Sam
Yeah.
was going to vote for her as his only option, and I knew she was going to vote for Sam as her only option.
Well, with with Genevieve leaving, Voldemort's gone.
Mhm.
And or was it Rachel that's Voldemort?
Well, Rachel, I
I don't know.
think, yeah, I
Called
think she said that Genevieve was Voldemort. I don't know. I think it was
okay.
kind of loose ended.
Okay.
Like I think she was like
Anyway,
Voldemort, and yeah,
so all that we couldn't have scripted this. This is wild to me. We are all 4 of us
tied.
are going into the finale tonight because this will be posted on Wednesday. Tonight we are going in with 1 player each.
Crazy.
While
I think
Sammy
you and I
wins.
have the best, like, I think you and I
Oh
have the
no,
best
yeah, it's
odds
me and
though,
you.
for sure, right? Like,
Yes.
um, okay, can you explain something to me about
Hmm.
the finale of Survivor?
Yeah.
Um, I've only watched a few seasons before this, like early seasons, and it's been years. So everyone keeps talking about this fire making thing, like they're all, whoever's not automatically going to final are gonna compete against each other and who can make fire first. But I don't understand why this is that big of a deal because don't they make fire like every day? Like, don't they constantly making fire?
Okay. So yes, the winner of the next challenge automatically has a spot in the final 3 because the jury votes between 3 people.
Right.
So they automatically get a spot, leaving 3 remaining people. The sorry, I wouldn't be a terrible weather woman. So so the winner, say Rachel wins the final immunity, can pick someone who's automatically going to sit next to her in the finale, leaving the other 2 people to compete for fire. What they will do is they are given a table and just a little. I don't even think they make a fire every day, but they make it with flint and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
okay.
they're
So they have
making
to do it from like,
fire.
okay. Well, how come we never see them practicing that?
Um, And then there's a rock flint. They get something to do like sparks, but it's not like
Yeah.
an actual. I feel like it's easier to make it at camp. You will see them practicing. They are practicing, but they focus on the practicing on the finale episode. Kind of
Okay.
leaving you in
Okay.
suspense of like who's going to do better because they have to build the fire up to a certain point. There's like two sticks and a string that hold a flag, and whoever's flame gets up to burn the string that pops up the flag, that is the person that will take the third spot.
Got it.
Now, historically
Oh,
speaking,
so it's
this
not just
position,
whoever gets a flame first.
no, they have to
Okay,
build the fire up without it snuffing out, and it
got
has to
it.
be big enough to burn the rope above it.
Got it. Okay, this whole time I thought it was like, all right, whoever gets a little tiny flame, like,
No, we've had a
wins.
lot of people go out on fire who actually got flames multiple times. They just couldn't keep them.
Interesting. Okay. Well, do we want to briefly talk possible scenarios here, like in terms of who wins immunity and who they take with them?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you
Uh,
picked Sam for your draft. So let's say Sam wins immunity. Who is he taking to final two? Or like who's he saving, essentially?
who's he? Well, it's really not who you're saving. It's who you want to guarantee be one of the spots next to you.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I feel like that's Teeny.
I also feel like,
Um,
yeah, Teeny or Sue, maybe.
But in doing that too is a very risky move because one, you're putting Rachel at fire. A lot of Survivor winners have gone to say, and a lot, it's been kind of historical that going into fire and winning fire is a huge boost in like jury points. Like it's an emotional moment right then and there before they make this decision where they're seeing you pull out this win. You know, you were left to do fire, you do this fire, you win it. And so the jury's actually kind of on an emotional high because as they're subconsciously rooting for you, rooting against you or whatever, but they have an emotional connection to whatever you just did. So
Okay. Okay, I'm
historically
excited. All
speaking,
right.
yeah. So historically speaking,
Oh
like there have
yeah.
been people like, I want to go to fire. I don't have enough on my resume. I don't see me winning without going to fire. So please give me this.
Damn. Okay.
So I don't know. I see maybe Sam picking Sue and having Teeny and Rachel go to fire. Um, I also see the argument though that Sam picks Rachel to prevent her from getting fired as like not getting another notch on her belt.
I don't know. I
But
don't
I
think you
think
would
that
play that
Rachel's too
way.
winning. That Rachel's too winning at this point. That she
Yeah.
doesn't need fire. So you
Yeah.
want to do on the off chance that she does lose at fire.
Yeah. For sure.
Who do we think Sue's taking?
I think Sue, this is the hardest one to me because the obvious answer for Sam is Teeny. The obvious answer for Rachel is Teeny. The obvious answer for Sue is Teeny. But are Rachel and Sue aligned enough now where they're gonna take each other like to the end, or is Survivor one of those games where you cut your bestie or your biggest
I
alliance member at the end?
it can be. It depends on the player. I Sue's taking Rachel.
You think so?
Yes.
But she knows she can't beat Rachel. She has
I
to.
don't. She would not care.
I mean, she's definitely not taking
If
Sam.
Sue's going to do anything, Sue's going to be a pit bull for her besties, and that is Sue is who Sue is, and
I do think
she's going to
Rachel
do the
would
Sue
take
thing.
Sue as well.
Yeah.
Her resume is
My
much
only thing,
better.
the reason why I don't know why my gut again apparently have horrible survivor takes, but this Sam picking taking Sue is because of well, she does have the jury though. She has the jury. So no, I could see Sam taking Teeny. My
I feel
worry
like
with
Sam would
Sam
take
take
Teeny over Sue.
yeah, I see that now. I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
jury, I was thinking like resumes. And I do
Yeah.
feel like Teeny has a bit more of a social maneuver resume than Sue. And
Mm.
I know things that they don't know about like the Sue Kyle of it all.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
we know that stuff. That's not a jury thing. So I was going at it from a viewer perspective. I do think I take back Sam takes Teeny.
Mhm.
I think Sue takes Rachel.
Who does
I think
Teeny
Rachel
take?
takes Sue. I think Teeny
Sue?
takes Sue.
Yeah, I would assume that would be the only person she could,
Yeah.
unless she took Rachel just I don't
It's
know,
so much easier on Big Brother
confused.
because you have all this time to
Yeah.
see it build up and like the way it's gonna go.
Well, and we also see every
Um,
minute mostly of their
every minute.
lives, so, we get, like, a lot of side conversations and contacts. I mean, it is exciting watching Survivor because we don't have any of that. Um, Anyone could be going to fire tomorrow, anyone could win the final, is there a specific final comp that they do, or is it different every time?
Um, it is. I believe it's different every time. I don't know. We're coming off of years and years of every competition they do looks like a obstacle course puzzle
Yeah, yeah,
or standing on a stick until their feet bleed. Like,
yeah.
so,
Well, final
but
predictions. What you thinking?
I I really want Sam to win the final, and not just for my draft. You know how I get, like, if you have so many wins under your belt, like, I start to kinda root against you. Not that I'm rooting against Rachel because I love Rachel so much, but I'm very conflicted because I do wanna see a shakeup.
Is
Um,
it so is it final 3 that the jury votes on, or is it final
yes,
2? So it is
final
final
3.
3. Okay.
Mhm. Watch Sue or Teeny pull out a win here.
I could see it. Oh, I could see Sue winning the final comp. I really could. Um,
Well, maybe that's why they showed us the clip of her having a hard time standing up.
yeah, but here's the thing, I don't really buy into y'all's Survivor edit things. I'm sorry, I'm gonna
Well,
call out
here's the
every
thing, in
Survivor
our
person.
defense, the edits have been so telling year after year after year. This is the year where they're like, "Psych."
So
Just
they're starting
kidding.
to figure that out then, like, how it's
Yeah.
becoming too predictable. Yeah,
It only
because
took them 47 years, but or
right, because 'cause
47
I've been seeing,
seasons.
like, TikTok after TikTok of, like, "Oh, Sam's gonna win because of this edit," and, like, "Carolyn's gonna win," and I'm like,
When I tell you, Kyle got a fledged winner edit from day one. It was like Survivor 101, editing 101 was his
it's
edit. So,
wild." Hmm.
oh, well, I'm
Are you
excited. I'm really excited. Are you going live on finale night?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna hop on before, like, an hour before the finale, so, like, if anyone wants to join, we can chat, and then during the actual finale, I'll probably be solo so that there's not, like, a bunch of Survivor noise, like, coming in from everyone's
Yeah.
camera.
I
So
think we've all learned our lesson the hard way that we
we did
cannot
learn our
watch with
lesson.
TikTok and the
We
yeah.
can't, yeah, it's too much coordinating, but I'm very excited, and then after the
It's gonna be
season,
great.
I'm gonna go back and start, like, watching Survivor, so
After the season, I want to slip into a Christmas coma and wake up January 1st and start prepping for the
for the
traders.
traders. Are we gonna do a traders draft?
Yeah, absolutely. That has to happen. Traders all the way. I show up in costume, Sammy, for
Oh,
traders
hell yeah.
podcasting.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
we have to dress to impress. And I'm really pumped, as should our Survivor listeners, because it is a very Survivor stacked season coming up that we're getting in January.
Mhm.
That being said, while we have the TikTok and all the apps, follow us, Sarah Talks Reality and Ghostbuster Sammy, or Sammy Watches Reality.
It's still under Ghostbusters
Reality
Sammy.
Watcher.
That's still
Okay,
my
okay,
ad. The Reality Watcher is, like,
okay.
my tagline thing.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so check us out there. Honestly, I don't think it's going anywhere, but that's just me. Um, and make sure that you like, I'm terrible at the YouTube stuff, but you know what to do. Hit all the buttons. Please leave us fucking comments. It tells YouTube that like you like us and people actually watch our shit. So please check that out and subscribe, comment, tell us what you think, and then we will be back for the finale, wrapping up all of Survivor 47. And with that, good evening and good night. Bye.
Goodbye.